So The Bad Batch Season 3 Episode 13 is out, and I have some feelings about this. Do I think it was a bad episode? No, not at all, but I'm going to break it down, give my feelings, and where I think this is heading in the long run. And by the long run, I mean the last 2 episodes. Before we do that, I'm doing a giveaway at 1,100 subs for this copy of X-Men 200, The Trial of Magneto. Yes, this is what appeared in the animated show X-Men 97. It's a huge show right now, lots of fans, it's a great show, so if you want to win this, all you got to do is hit like, subscribe, and at 1,100, I'm giving it away. Now, let's get right into the Bad Batch. So this episode starts off on Tantis. Omega finally meets the Force-sensitive or high M-count kids that were present in the episode where Emery gets a relationship with them. So we know Emery is kind of on the good side, but not fully yet, and Omega, I think, is going to be the catalyst for all of this. And I have to say, right off the bat, Omega's character development throughout this entire series has completely floored me. And tell me if this sounds familiar. She goes from this annoying kid to this character who's beloved, who's trustworthy, and who's ultimately just powerful. Now, she's not super powerful yet, but she's definitely a warrior, and she's become this soldier with the help from Asajj Ventress, but more importantly, her brothers, the Bad Batch. I think a lot of people may have found Omega annoying at the beginning, but now love her, and I'm definitely in the camp that really enjoys her character. And I said, does this sound familiar? Because this is kind of like what happens with Ahsoka. Ahsoka starts off as a naive teenage Jedi Padawan, but over time with her character, she develops into one of the most popular characters and most powerful characters that we know today. Suffice it to say, I think Omega is a great character, and I have really high hopes for where her character is going to go in these final 2 episodes and maybe even beyond this series. She exemplifies these characteristics by calming these children down. A couple episodes ago, these children weren't too upset about being in Imperial captivity because they thought they were going home, but now they know that all of that stuff was lies. Omega actually comes to the rescue. Remember, she's been on Tantis before. She knows how to escape, and she reassures these children that they are not stuck there forever. Being that hopeful character that Jedi are like, and just good people in general are like. Again, just showing that character development. Meanwhile, the Bad Batch, along with Rampart, who's kind of at the moment a honorary member of the Bad Batch, he's an Imperial soldier who is now kind of good, but I love how they keep the attitude with him still very smirky and smug like an Imperial soldier. They meet up with Echo. Finally, we see Echo again, and they go to this Imperial base in order to find out the location of Tantis. Now, in order to do this, they have to disguise themselves as Imperial soldiers, and Rampart has to wear a captain's uniform, and he's not too happy about this because when he was in the Imperial Army, he was more than a captain, so having to wear this is kind of degrading to him, and it's really funny. At the same time, Rampart's giving great tips and helpful things to the Bad Batch, so I guess he's kind of a good guy now. It's also important to note that at this time, Emery is kind of going against the protocol with these high M-count children, allowing them to interact even though all of the other Imperial officers don't want them to do so. Emery is in a higher position of power, and she has feelings and empathy towards these children, so she's trying to keep them safe. Similar to Rampart, I think she's going to do a full turn and become one of the Bad Batch. Omega shows the children with their toys a way that they could possibly escape this place, and this heavily reminded me of Andor. Even the look of this building and this room and their outfits resemble lots of what we saw in the Prison Break from Andor. This is just a little bit less serious, more kid-friendly Andor. The Bad Batch break into this Imperial base, and in order to keep themselves disguised, they wear their armor, but they've scratched off all the paint, and I gotta say, these look sick. I feel like Disney and Lucasfilm are just printing money at this point with how many different variations of the Bad Batch outfits there are. Just keep them coming. Just keep them coming. Rampart actually plays along here great because remember, the Empire left him for dust, blamed him for Camino, and he became a slave. So now he has no feelings for the Empire either. Back on Tantis, we see Omega has kind of pried a hole in her cell wall that allows the children to maybe go through this as an escape in a next episode, but we don't see it here. I find it kind of weird how easy it was for her to make an escape plan, especially when this is a special project for the Emperor. You would think it would have more secure, I don't know, cells or just things that can't happen like this. But obviously, you know, the plot has to go forward, so I'm partially joking there. Back with the Bad Batch, Echo has to help the team attach themselves to an Imperial ship. That way, when they go into hyperspace to Tantis, they can go with them. The only problem is they can't be detected, so at the very last minute, the Bad Batch has to attach to this Imperial shuttle or ship and then go to Tantis. It was a very tense scene, and we see Hunter kind of meditate and trust in Echo's doings in order to get them there. And I think maybe he learned this meditation from Omega, at least that's what I like to think. And it was a very cool scene, very satisfying how they attached the Imperial ship at the very last second and then blast off towards Tantis. Now that's where the episode ends. I do think this episode and last week's episode could have maybe been comboed into a one release because not really too much happens in terms of advancing the plot forward, and I just want more. Again, I'm not saying this is a bad episode, it's definitely not, but we're nearing the very end of not just this season, but the series as a whole, and I think it's a good thing that I'm left wanting more. It shows that the show is engaging, it shows that it's good, and it shows that we really do care about these characters. So yeah, this episode just left me wanting more. more, and we're going to get it, but only 2 more episodes. Let me know what you guys thought down below about this episode and where you think this is going to go. Personally, I think we're going to see some sort of force use among the children or Omega, and I do think we're also possibly going to see one of the members of the Bad Batch also die. Personally, I think it could either be Crosshair or Wrecker, definitely not Hunter, and I really want to find out who the identity of Clone X number 2 is. Do we think it's Cody? Do we think it is a resurrected version of Tech? Or do we think it's maybe a clone of Crosshair himself? All of these questions, maybe we're reading too much into it, but we have 2 more episodes to find out. So guys, again, leave a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all very, very soon.